Good morning, everybody. What a joy to be here. I'm savoring this moment. I missed you all, and what a joy it is to be back with you all. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're not, welcome back. This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, literally sitting here right now, enjoying this moment in time with the absolutely best community there ever was online. And it is my thank you for all of your support. Thank you for all of your prayers and thoughts for the wife and the baby. I am certain that the only reason both mother and child are so well is because of all of you. And I thank you for that support. I am grateful for it. It's true. There's so much hate and stress out there on Twitter. I have to do a better job at putting my blinders on and getting that noise away from me, making sure all that negativity doesn't affect me. It's not easy. But it doesn't mean that you don't try harder, right? It's about work. It's about putting the work in. It's about continually improving yourself, right? That does not mean that you can't make mistakes. It means you need to recognize your mistakes, look at them, and build off that in order to improve going forward. There's a lot of negativity out there in the space. It's absolutely horrific. I'm a little bit disheartened about what I've seen and what I've saw, Not only just that on Twitter, in a lot of different areas. It makes me a lot more sure that when the cycle peak comes in and I exit, could you imagine the negativity that's going to be out there? I can. I'm going to do a better job at making sure that I put on those blinders and make sure I stay focused on the most important trade that matters. And that includes in this moment right here, right now, with all of you, just enjoying this moment here together, making sure all that I have to share with you today is done in its proper pace at its proper time, right? Right now, there's a lot to be excited about, right? You're seeing right over here, Adam back. Can you imagine Adam? What Adam must be feeling like, right? Adam sourced in the Satoshi's white paper. Could you imagine Adam trying to change the world, right? And we're seeing El Salvador becoming the first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. I understand Nick Carter was doing a live space last night on Twitter with the president of El Salvador as the Congress was voting this into law. Absolutely amazing. I wish I could have been there. And then we also see what? We also see MicroStrategy received $1.6 billion for their offering in less than 24 hours. Only trying to raise $500 million. Interest from large numbers of hedge funds, right? Not everyone has the ability to buy spot even still. There's huge demand out there. That, my friends, is signal, right? But you see the laser eyes going everywhere, all across Latin America, right? Do you see that? There are people out there who said that that's a turnoff. There are people that said the laser eyes is a turnoff to the rest of the people, right? Who are you going to follow? The Bitcoiners? Or are you going to follow the wannabes, right? The macro bros. You got to there's a lot to be excited about today, but at the same time, there's a lot more work to do. And most of the work needs to come on our mindset, right? You have a lot of people out there spreading a lot of disinformation and a lot of negativity, getting you off signal. I saw someone over here saying this morning that they sold yesterday, that they sold their spot. I bought yesterday's spot. We'll talk about that later, right? It's my second spot purchase, $39,000, and then again at $33,500 since prior to the halving, right? I viewed a 50% pullback during the bull market phase as an opportunity that I couldn't pass up, even though I didn't plan on purchasing any more spot, right? That's I have the confidence for a reason that I do that, right? Now I know the negativity that the FUD. I also put out a tweet. I think we're experiencing peak FUD out there, right? All right. Anyway, let's get into it. All right. I want to first talk about what I see going on in the markets. I see the 10-year. This is the biggest thing I'm seeing happen right now, coming off pretty hard, trading under 1.5. Right now, it's still within the bull flag, and this is a bull flag that's developing over here. It's still within the bull flag. Why are yields coming down? Right? I have to think that it has everything to do with what's going on in China, which is probably the biggest news in the markets right now, right? You saw yesterday, China had a higher than expected PPI print, 9%, the highest since the Lehman collapse, right? Now, it's causing Beijing to roll out price controls. That's also probably going to cause further global shortages and supply chain squeeze, right? This is probably the biggest thing going on in the markets. It's why I think yields are coming down right now. I don't know. It's why I think we have Thursday, we have U.S. consumer price data, and we're also seeing ECB meeting for further clues about what's next, right? And this is probably another one of the biggest signals out there that I see in the market right now. We have Tuesday jobs. Yesterday's jobs report suggested American companies are struggling to find enough workers. I pointed out a week ago or 2 weeks ago, right, that try getting an Uber and how difficult it is. And this is the mindset of people out there. Oh, poor Jordan can't get an Uber. No. Yeah, in Mexico we could get Ubers. People want to work in Mexico. The government's giving them, anyway, like minuscule amount of pesos a month, right? But it's not like you're seeing in the US where people actually are getting paid more to stay home, right? So in Mexico, they're still working. Don't worry about me. I'm all right. What I'm talking about is the fact that the US government is paying people actually to stay out of the workforce, right? Don't forget, it's the Federal Reserve who's saying, listen, we're going to keep these uber easy monetary policies until jobs return to pre-COVID numbers, right? How's that going to happen when you see the government paying people to stay home? Employees, listen to this, employers may have to hike salaries quite substantially. This is inflation. Again, the macro bros out there are saying, no, it's not inflation. We're not even seeing rising wages. Well, what happens when did you see McDonald's is giving people iPhones to take a job there? Could you imagine? This in turn could have significant consequences for inflation expectations, which are already elevated, especially if the US CPI comes in anywhere near 5%. We're looking at an expected extremely hot print CPI coming in this month. We'll continue to watch. That's all signal. We need to focus in on it. That's the 10-year over here. It's still in a bull flag. It could still wind up holding the support over here. You have a confluence of support. You have the support from the lower bull flag coming in and horizontal support. You could see over here, there was a gap. You see this little gap down over here. When price came back above, it came back down and tested that gap, right? It held over there, bounced up. That's an important level. Get below 1.4. Yields are coming off. Right now, you're still in a bull flag, and that's what it is, right? Don't try to predict what's going to happen. Follow what's going to happen. If this does break down, by the way, that could send the Nasdaq really high, really strong, right? Yields are tech's greatest adversary. Yields come off, Nasdaq's going to lead the way. Pressure on the yields, Nasdaq gets under pressure. What's going on over here with the markets? S&P 500. Look at this. How easy is our art? How beautiful and simple is our art? Minimalist TA, right? The most effective out there, right? And remember when we put this, we had this line over here, and then I raised it up over here. We held the support over there, resuming off of it, right over here, getting close to all-time highs. I know that people have been scaring you. I know that people have been telling you that the equity markets are going to crash. They do it over and over, and every once in a while, they're right. But we don't have any reason to be looking for any type of technical breakdown. I know I forget to remind you from time to time. It's very important. Could you go ahead and smash the like button, help support the work that we do here together? Let's raise the positivity in this space over here. All right. So what else are we looking at over here? The Nasdaq. By the way, since I've been gone, right? We just had a beautiful, beautiful baby. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus, so much. So grateful for your goodness, for your mercy, for your love. Thank you so much. We are so grateful for both mother and child being healthy. Thank you for that. The greatest gift in the world, right? We're looking over here since I left you last over here. You see the resistance over here has broken, right? But we were in this little, we were consolidating under resistance, right? Price broke down out of that little consolidation, came into the support. This is support, it held. Price broke up, came above the resistance, retested it, and resumed off, conquering the markets all day long. Nasdaq looking good over here. And again, it's got that little bit of a headwind with it. The wind that it's, sorry, not headwind, the wind at its back with the yields coming off a little bit. Yes, the Nasdaq and S&P 500 both looking very solid. What about our friend the dollar over here? What's going on with the dollar? Well, dollar continues to be under pressure, right? Now, the one thing that it had going for it, you know, and again, yields, we don't know what's happening. They're simply in a bull flag. It could break out to the upside, go significantly higher. A hot CPI print could do that. I think China over here and what's going on with China is probably more signal actually for what's going on with the yields coming off here today. We'll find out. We will see. I do not know. But right now, with yields temporarily coming off, right, being rejected by the upper resistance of the bull flag, right, upper resistance over here, going back to the 2nd of June, you're seeing the dollar now with the one thing that it had going, rising yields, actually putting continued pressure on it. Not much to say or do over here, honestly, right now, right? So what about gold and silver, right? Not the same thing. Same thing, right? Silver, by the way, is coming in over here. And this was a trend line that I was tracking, right? When price broke down over there, it was time to exit, right? And now we're coming up and this is not, it's still holding as resistance. It's still holding as resistance. Break above it, it's got overhead resistance in the 2830 area. Get above that, then you could start getting long again for swing traders over here. All right, let's talk about what's going on with Bitcoin. Let's see what's going on. Let's focus in on the technicals for a moment. All right, thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for smashing the like button, showing the support for what we do over here. Right? Let's make sure that everyone gets the clarity that they need over here, because there's a lot, the amount of, let's say, I'm just going to call it misinformation out there is causing people to give up their positions. You know, let's focus in on it. Let's make sure that we understand what's going on. Right? I'm going to come down. I'm going to jump down over here so everyone can get a look at the 2-hour, you know, Bitcoin trading at $35,000. Let me get off the log chart for a second. People might be wondering what's going on over here, right? Are we breaking out of this trend line over here? Are we coming in for a retest right now? Or is this a rejection, right? We're going to be looking at this right now for a little bit of precision. But before we do that, let me frame that. Everything remains very unclear. You all know it was over here on this famous day. It was Friday, May the 14th. When I was talking about, you know, someone just jumped into the lake. They muddied the waters. I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what's going on. I'm getting neutral. That has not changed since. The only thing that changed is since then, price came off significantly. Price came off 40% since I said, I don't know what's going on. I'm getting neutral. And not only that, just so everyone is paying attention, look, this is the most important trend line in all of crypto. The reason I say crypto and not Bitcoin is because Bitcoin is the rising tide that lifts all boats. The entirety of the crypto market is dependent on what happens in Bitcoin. Now, will that change one day? Perhaps. Has it changed yet? No. Okay? This is the most important trend line in crypto. And until price breaks above it, there's a couple of things going on. There's no clarity and there's no momentum. I'm trying to trade when momentum's at my back, right? I have no interest in trading right now Bitcoin. It's very unclear. What about to the downside? I made it very clear. I do not sell Bitcoin in a bull market. Jordan, we're in a bear market. By what terms and definition, right? By what terms and definition? I defined my terms before the bull market. Right? If you're now starting and you're like, well, you know, Bitcoin's off more than 20% in traditional markets, that's a bear market. Okay, well, how many times have you flip-flopped, you know, in the past 3 months? Because this was a bear market, this was a bear market, this was a bear market. You know, how many times? I don't know. But I have my terms defined ahead of time, and I don't sell at all in a bear market. I'll get on the sidelines, I'll stop trading, but I'm not going to sell. And I'm going to have the patience to wait until price breaks above this trend line to the upside before I even think about and set up any opportunities trading, right? What about spot? Jordan, you just made 2 purchases of spot, right? And Jordan, you did that just by dollar cost averaging. What's going on? All right, well, a couple of things. Here's the halving over here. I was fully positioned coming into this halving. I never expected to make any additional purchases until I sell my Bitcoin at the peak of the bull cycle, right? Now, well, Jordan, that was the peak over here. Maybe. If that has, my model's wrong, everyone's model's wrong, and something different's going on. And we could talk about that way later, right? We'll talk about that as that comes up. It's a possibility. Anything's possible, right? But the bullish case for Bitcoin, El Salvador just made the first country to make it legal tender. The dominoes are beginning to fall, and to fall a lot faster than I ever expected, and everyone else, right? So we'll see. The bullish case for Bitcoin, by the way, is way stronger, in my opinion, than it's ever been, right? Did you see that? Did you see that FUD? That like, anyway, I don't want to get into that. I want to focus what's going on with price. I want to focus on what's going on with price right now. All right. Look, so we did have a 50% drawdown over here, what I consider mid-cycle, right? I'm using that as an opportunity to add to my position, right? It brings up my average cost a little higher. Big deal. My average cost is pretty solid. Why? Because I have been consulting what's happened in the past. I have used past models as my roadmap, and that's what allowed me to position in so early and so well into Bitcoin, right? So, Jordan, you shouldn't consult the past, especially past cycles. But if you look at what happened in the past, Jordan, you could see this diminishing returns. So I should consult what happened in the past in order to paint my narrative, but you shouldn't do that, even though it served you so well, even though I didn't think Bitcoin should be trading over $20,000 by now. All right. Anyway, couple of things. I added to my position at $39,000 and then again, $33,500. I'm not timing the market. When I position in over here, I just dollar cost average. I don't try to time the market over there. I'm not looking with my spot positions to time the market technically. All right. I just view this as an opportunity. And yes, if price comes down and takes out that D-Day over here, I call it 30,000 just to round up. I don't know what the low was. Depends on what broker you're looking at, right? If we take out the recent low and price comes down lower, I will be buying more, right? I will continue to dollar cost average in. That's, well, Jordan, you've been buying the whole way down. No, I haven't. I made 2 purchases at 39,000, one purchase at 39,000 and one at 33,500. And I feel good about that. I'm happy about that. That was an opportunity that I feel like I took advantage of. All right. I am not looking to trade until Bitcoin breaks up here to the upside. Now, if you're trading within this area, that's on you and that's up to you. If you're shorting Bitcoin down over here into this massively strong support, yes, it could break. But yes, there's massively strong support in this area. And if you watch what happens every time prices come down into this area, it has been defended and bought up. Look at the wicks over here. Could that change? And if that change, will you see capitulation? Yep, you will. There's no question about that. How far will it come down? Before I get into the 2 hour, before I show you what's going on a little bit technically, let's take a look at that. You can see some support areas over here. Look, this is where the volume was. You can see 27,000. Is it safe to say if you bring 30,000 that 27,000 could come mighty quickly? Yep. What about beyond that? You could see more at 24,000 and then again at 19,000 where we broke the previous all-time high. Jordan, why are you showing me 19,000? I put out this little poll the other day, right? Bitcoin has never traded below a 70% drawdown. That's on the daily time frame, by the way. Intraday, it was as high as 83%, 80% in a bull market phase. It happened in 2013. Right? If that happened again, that would place Bitcoin around 19,400. Bitcoin has also never traded 3 times over its previous all-time high and then traded back down to test the all-time high. That would be new. That would be different. Would you be selling your Bitcoin at $20,000? Find out now because some people did sell at 30,000. right? I asked people, do they think this time's different? 35% of the people do. That's pretty substantial. 35% of the people think that we're trading down towards $19,000, $20,000, call it. There's heavy support down there, by the way, if that were to occur. There's heavy support down over there. Now, when I point out the downside and what could possibly and potentially happen, that's not to say that I think that's going to happen. Just so everyone's clear, I believe that we're following option A. I believe the low is in over here. If the low is taken out at any time, then I have to believe that we are going into prolonged sideways price action, right? Nothing has changed. This trend line over here, whether we bounce out of it, sooner, right? It could happen in days. It could happen in weeks. If we bounce out sooner, once we break above it, it's on, right? If that doesn't happen, if we make a lower low over here, and if we do go into some sideways accumulation, nothing has changed here. It's when we break this trend line over here that it's going to be on once again. Doesn't change anything. It just gives you more opportunity if you're following, the bullish case for Bitcoin to accumulate more Bitcoin at lower prices. That's not a bad thing. It's really not a bad thing. But traders and anyone trading, if I show you what's going on technically, that doesn't mean that I'm telling you to buy. And first of all, I'm never telling you anything. It's not financial advice. If I'm looking at something, if you see me buying the dip, price 50% off the, what I call the mid-cycle high, if you see me buying the dip, that doesn't mean I'm telling you to buy the dip. I'm just letting you know that I'm buying the dip. I'm letting you know exactly what I'm doing. No problem out there. But when I'm showing you what's going on now, that's not saying, oh, listen, if price breaks this trend line to the upside, I've been tracking this trend line for a while. Did you see the tweet I put out over, I don't know when it was, things are fuzzy. We've had a baby. We came home and you think we might get some rest, but we got 5 kids in the house, and those 5 kids, all they know is that they're really happy to see the baby, but their life is changing and they don't know how to process that. And that takes a lot of love and a lot of attention to those kids as well, right? Rest is for the weary, Not here. Not here. We're working hard all the time. That's who we are and that's what we do. It's just who we are and what we do. All right, let's take this out over here. What's going on? I'm not telling you to buy. This is the first line of repair, by the way, if we break above this. Does that mean that you should step in here and buy? I'm not looking to trade this thing until we break above the most important trend line in crypto. If you think that you can and you know better, well, then you best take responsibility for yourself. That's all I have to say, right? I'm just looking at what's happening technically. Is this a breakout? Why am I on the 2 hour? I just want to show you what's going on. You can see prices peaked above this trend line over here. What's going on now? Is that a breakout? Is price coming in and retesting this? Or is that a rejection? It could be any one of those 3 things. I have no idea. First of all, you have to move up to a different time frame to see what happens. If we break out over here, right? Now that's just the first sign of the repair. It doesn't mean we won't come in and retest it again, right? And then we'll see if that retest holds or not, right? Interestingly, if you look on the log scale over here, what's going on? Yeah, if you look on the log scale over here, you could see that actually this retest is coming into a bit of resistance. You see that on the log scale? I find that interesting. I find it fascinating. What it means or anything like that, I don't know. I look at the log scale, by the way, for the larger perspective, but I definitely focus on what's going on linear for day to day, right? It's too soon to tell. That's all I could say. I had this trend line in, though, by the way, just for my own just to watch. It meant nothing to me. I put it in ahead of time just to see if price would hold over here. It happened to hold. Is that significant? Not really. I'm getting rid of it. Not really. It was just for fun. This one is more important, the breakout to the upside. Again, I pointed out what could happen on the downside if we break down to the downside, and that, it looks like there's a clean break to 27,000. Where you see lots of traders capitulating if that happens, right? Do I think that people should be leaning in here? I don't think so. It's up to you. I'm just showing you what I see. But what is interesting and what is worthy of pointing out to you is that this little bit of consolidation that we're in right now. All right, hold on one second. I'm going to focus over here. This little bit of consolidation that we're in right now. If I draw it like this, right, you should be able to see prices like this. This is the last time that something looks similar, where price was consolidating and not at a sharp angle, but more of a more, let's say, I'm trying to think of the adjective to describe that slope, but let's say giving it more time, less of a sharp angle. And after that happened, price had a significant breakout. It was about 100% move. It unfolded very quickly. If you look at what's happening now, you can see that a similar structure is taking place, right? That's not to say that we're not breaking down lower. Massive support over there, right? If we break below it, you expect further downside pressure. No question about that. But if I go ahead and I clone this trend line over here, right? Let me go back off the log 1 second. Now that I pointed that out to you, if I clone this trend line over here, it's gonna take a day or two to get back into the flow, But usually after a break, by that second day when I come back, the flow gets going. This is the most important trend line, and why everyone's focused on this trend line over here right now, right? And we're watching it because it's important, and price is respecting it for a while. This trend line over here is way more important. It's a clone trend line of the most important trend line in crypto. Right? You can see over here where it was support, and since it's been resistance with 1, 2, 3 touches, right? Is this a safer place to step in if you're looking to step in once price breaks above that? Absolutely. There's no question about that. Make sure you have the... Thank you, Truth. Thank you, Gus. Thank you for your presence amongst us. Thank you, brother. Wow, I didn't even realize that. You know what? Gus, here you're so generous. That's going to be a purchase of Bitcoin for the little guy into a hardware wallet. That's his first investment. Thank you, brother, for that generosity. Thank you, Gus. I'm more interested. You and your presence is just a gift to us all. That was generous of you. Thank you for that. Less acute angle. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter. So anyway, but let's get back to what we're talking about over here, right? People are focused in on the short term, very high tide preference. Should you be focused on what's going on over here? Yep, because price has to break above here. Price needs to break out from this trend line, which this has been since for the last week or so has been definitely been respected. Getting above that's a good sign, right? And it's okay. Oh, that's hopium. No. Hopium, by the way, hopium, maxi, these are derogatory slang terms, right? If you're using hopium, by the way, is, what? The government's got this. They're going to take care of this. My elected leaders, right? As if I had a choice between A and B, are going to take care. That's hopium. That's hopium, right? Bitcoiners, taking their future and their children's futures into their own hands. That's not hopium, right? That's preparing your own future. All right? Hopium, maxi, these are derogatory terms. If you find yourself using them, take a look at yourself. Find out where that comes from and why, right? And by the way, it comes from someone, by the way, who basically, did a whole big pre-mine, launched an altcoin in order to gain more Bitcoin. That's what happened over there. Anyway, that's not for now, but we'll talk about that today. Happy birthday, Jeremy. What a beautiful, 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 beautiful celebration. The gift of life. The gift of life. All right. So we're focused on the higher time preference, 2 hour. We see that we're into this resistance over there. Getting above that resistance, yes, that's better. That's good. This one is much more important. Do I think that you should trade this one if we get above it? No, I'm not. I'm waiting to get above the most important trend line that matters in all of Bitcoin in order to feel that momentum's coming my way once again, right? You'll see when it breaks, whether it breaks, in June, July, August, or September. When that breaks, that's when we're going to have momentum, and that's when things are going to start flying. What else are we looking at over here? Let's keep going. This was pretty important. I'll just, anyway, but I just want everyone to know this is what I believe. Right or wrong, we're going to find out. Right or wrong, we're going to find out. I love this little analogy put out by Charts BTC. And he said, before a tsunami, people on the beach wonder where the water went. Right? Now, past results are not indicative of future results, right? Should you consult past price behavior, encoded money, encoded monetary policy with human behavior? I don't know. It's worked so far. That's up to you, but this is a beautiful analogy. I want to get into something over here before I do, once again, at this point, just for a little bit of perspective, at this point where we were it was July of 2017 in the last bull market, Bitcoin dropped sharply from $3,000 to $2,000, right? We had a 39% drawdown, right? This cycle, by the way, to this day, continues to be an average of the previous two cycles in terms of volatility to the upside, now to the downside, and consolidation-wise. That's very important. It's very important. At this point last cycle, Bitcoin did a 10x. That's what Bitcoin did. Is Bitcoin going to do another 10x from where it is right now? Are we looking at $300,000 Bitcoin? I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to see. Again, the stuff rhymes. It doesn't play out exactly. Could it be much higher than that? Could it be lower than that? We're going to find out. Just for reference, in roughly 140, 150 days from where we are last cycle, Bitcoin did a 10x. All right. I had a really awesome conversation with a friend yesterday. And I was asking him, by the way, new to the space, entered the space just in time, perfect timing, right before the halving. When I say entered the space, like really, really entered the space. And of course, and rightfully so, I say rightfully because it makes sense and it's natural, became heavily involved in what's going on in the alt space. Okay. But Bitcoin was the introduction. And listen to this honesty, right? I absolutely love it. I want to think, that I'm confused about the space currently. By the way, this guy is, I don't want to say names, is very intelligent. He's got my respect in so many different areas. I'm confused about the space currently. Wow, that really got my attention up. There's so much pressure coming from many directions against Bitcoin, in particular, the energy consumption, and that's sad to see. It's sad to see, right, that we all know, and Kathy was, ARK Investments just yesterday on Yahoo Finance was noting that, listen, this whole FUD that we have towards Bitcoin's energy consumption is only going to help the further adoption of clean energy. And that's true. That's true. Bitcoin's all about incentives, and it incentivizes people to use the lowest cost of energy, right? With the best technology, right? And the lowest cost of energy is going to be renewable energy in the long run, right? People are incentivized, for clean energy. But he's saying that, listen, I'm seeing, and I don't know what's going on, this big, Bitcoiners have thick skin. There's no question about that. When I say Bitcoiners, those who understand the bullish case for Bitcoin, those who have been around, for 4 years or longer, through every phase, through the bull market phase, through the bear market phase, through the accumulation phase. You have the people out there that are you could tell when someone's new when they say the bear market lasts 3 years. Then you could tell when someone's new to the space, right? Anyway, it goes on and he goes on, right? Oh, and by the way, how's this for clarity? This isn't clear on your screen, so I'm going to go ahead and just show it to you before I get to the next part of the conversation. It says, don't look at the all-time highs on Bitcoin. Look at the yearly lows. What's interesting is that Bitcoin has never made a lower low than the previous year. Huh. Well, listen, Jordan, you can't look at past price. Okay. Right. What do you look at? Right. Anyway, you have to note, and data is data, and you're not looking at 2 data points or 3 data points here. You're now looking at what is this? 11 different data points, and they're saying that Bitcoin has never made a lower low on the yearly. Well, that's pretty significant, right? So the first thing that I look at is what happened in the previous bull markets. So I look at 2013 and I see that the low of 2013, and then I see that's about a 3x higher for the low of 2014, the year after in the bear market. Oh, that's pretty significant. So then I look at the next one, 2017. We have, round up 800 times 4, 4x. So 3 to 4x in the following year. Well, look, these peaked in December. This time could be different, of course. No question about that, right? But that's interesting. So then I'm in 2021. I'm looking at 20,000, 28,000. Is it possible that we have, this was 3, this was 4. Is it possible that what happens if we have 2x? Oh, that puts us at 56,000. In my opinion, in the proper context, $55,000 is cheap Bitcoin. The context is what the cycle peak will be during this bull market and what the low of the coming bear market will be, right? Now, when I talk about $55,000 Bitcoin being cheap, I give the context each and every time. I'm not talking about what happens a few weeks later, right? Understand your time preference and that what we're talking about over here. Is it possible that makes a lot of sense over here all of a sudden? Oh, I didn't look at it like that. Oh, I never Jordan, I'm so focused on what happens today and tomorrow that my whole perspective is off. Jordan, I'm so focused on what happens today and tomorrow that I'm missing the bigger picture. Oh, here's the bigger picture. Here's the bigger picture. What, Jordan? There seems to be a major battle right now over the crypto space. If they're not careful, they could wreck the whole cycle, right? I want to think that, we're mid-cycle, but I don't know. This is such a good attitude to have. A lot of people, who are new to the space, they claim to have like the Holy Grail. There's a reason I have my confidence, right? Don't confuse confidence with ego. They need to get rid of trading pairs on the exchanges. When one dips, they all dips. Again, it all comes back to Bitcoin is the rising tide that lifts all boats. And what I mean by that, and this is Ian's beautiful chart work over here, right? If you're not following Ian on Twitter, make sure that you do. I retweet his posts all the time just to bring that exposure for CTM, showing his beautiful chart work over there. Look, this is in green, Ethereum. I'm giving you a look at the 4-year cycle. This is a full 4 years, right? And then you can see what happens in Bitcoin in orange. Ethereum is tracking Bitcoin's 4-year cycle. Exactly. It outperforms in the bull market and it underperforms in the bear market, right? And here again in this current cycle, you can see Ethereum is that going to change one day where Ethereum breaks out to the upside and or downside? Maybe. It hasn't happened yet. I want you to understand that if you're trading altcoins right now, right, as we've just seen the peak of the first alt season, that all coins are dependent on what Bitcoin does and where Bitcoin is at in the cycle. This is nothing new. I've been saying this to you for a year. For the last 6 months, I've been really telling you to over and over again. The reason I focus on Bitcoin, and if you're trading alts, is so that you have the pulse of what's going on and could trade accordingly. All right. What else? People are wondering, is this still in play? We looked at a couple of versions of this last week, Monday and Tuesday of last week. And what we're looking at is over here. I don't know, by the way, this is the one you're probably familiar with. After Bitcoin made the new all-time high, price has never traded, 55, and then made a 3x, by the way, has never made over a 55% drawdown below that. Is that going to maintain? Is that still going to hold? I don't know. But of course, it's still in play. Someone is showing this using fib levels. I'm not exactly sure how they drew those fib levels in. If they're coming down to that low over there. They're coming down to that. If you're familiar with these fib levels or fibs, you could, by looking at how they did that, you're going to be able to draw this in yourself. Is this still in play? Of course it is. A lot of people are talking about $20,000 Bitcoin. 35% of the people that I surveyed, that doesn't mean it's going to happen. The risk is once again to the upside, in my opinion. Does that mean that we cannot? Does that mean that something drastically could not go wrong? Right now, up until this point, nothing is out of the ordinary. Well, that's not true. This is out of the ordinary. Let me jump over to what's out of the ordinary over here. Well, this is certainly out of the ordinary. You know, after price has made the previous, taken out the previous all-time high, if you looked at how many days since that event occurred, we're seeing a significant deviation over here right now. That's significant, right? Again, I have said it, and I'm still trying to figure out over here, was that the V, right? And then you remember right over here, I said, that's not a V, right? So quickly, you know, people are always looking to like call you out. Could you imagine the era? That's a V. The recovery is going to be quick. It's going to be sharp. And then Elon tweets right here, and I said I was wrong. It's not quick. It's not sharp, and it's not a V. And then it's the next day where I say I have no idea what's going on, right? Could you imagine how quickly I catch my error, call myself out on it, and people can't get over that? Was this actually the mid-cycle dip, and is this just some type of anomaly that's occurring? I do not know. It could be. Or do we line this up over to here right now into the mid-cycle dip? I don't know. You know, whether or not we're peaking somewhere towards the middle to the end of September or to the middle to the end of October, I don't know. I'm waiting for price to show me. I'm waiting for things to become clearer, and they're not clear right now. And I'm perfectly good with them not being clear. It will become a lot clearer once we break above this trend line. I will not trade until then. It doesn't mean I'm not going to look at what's going on in the market. Do things become a lot more comfortable once we break above this one? Yep. Things then are a little bit more comfortable, right? But still uncertain. And there's a lot of uncertainty right now. You know, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. And that's the proper perspective and posture to have. You don't need to know what's going on all the time with like absolute clarity and precision. And when you lose that, you have to acknowledge that you've lost it and then just wait for everything to settle until things start getting clearer again. Is it possible, this is Ted's beautiful model over here, that we break up, when I say Ted's model, Ted's collective CTM model over here that's got him here, right? All the work that we all do together and his fine tuning over here, beautiful work, right? Is it possible that we've deviated slightly below? Because we're trading up right now. This is on the daily time frame. If you look at what happens tomorrow, we're actually back within our expected range over here. If this is lining up from the mid-cycle dip, which it looks like it is to me, we've looked at the structure of the past cycles and how within 35 days they all lined up together. It certainly looks like it. I don't know for sure, but I feel more comfortable tomorrow if price is trading around, you know, back in that zone, $36,000 and above, and back within this sweet spot over here, rather than deviating away from it. Yeah, back in July, if price is in between 60 and 68,000, then I'll feel a lot more comfortable. But I don't know right now exactly what's happening. I don't have that clarity, you know, and I'm waiting for it. And that's good. It's a good place to be. By the way, Brad's chart over here, looking at Brad's explosive channels over here, waiting for us to break above the midpoint of this channel in order to give us that clarity we need for closing out the cycle peak over here. It's holding the line over here. It's still holding. We all know if we break below that last peak, 30,000, that we're going to see a significant event. What it looks like and how it happens, we don't know yet. You know, you can't. I don't think that we're trading down to 20,000. That would be really different. Something would be wrong. By the way, that would also be a 70% drawdown. 19,400 root. The rational root defines a bull market a little different than we do. For him, it's, you know, after price makes the new all-time high, and then you have a 70% drawdown, the bull market's over. Would you be selling over a $20,000 Bitcoin? Or would you be accumulating? By the way, if the 4-year cycle breaks at any particular point in time, my bullish case for Bitcoin does not break at all, right? What would have to change to break the bullish case for Bitcoin? You know, had the US Gov, whether it was the NSA or the FBI or anyone, actually hacked Bitcoin, Well, that would change the bullish case for Bitcoin. But there's no way they did that or are going to be able to do that. There's zero way, right? The bullish case for Bitcoin is way stronger for me today than it was yesterday. And if the 4-year model breaks in any way, shape, or form, then I do become, I don't want to say a forced hodler. I'll call it a happy hodler. And regardless of how long price stays subdued, I know what's happening in the future and where to come. I think that a lot more people will be a lot more successful in the long term if they just got into the mindset of actually, you have, anyway, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. You have to have the knowledge of what is happening. And to date, that is the 4-year cycle. I do not think in any shape, way, or form that it's been broken. You have to understand the reason that we have a 4-year cycle is because of the halving event every 4 years. That's what ignites this supply shock, which sends off the bull market phase. The people that talk about lengthening cycles, right? They don't really attribute the halving event as being an important event in Bitcoin's history. To me, it's everything. The only reason that Bitcoin has this 4-year cycle is because of the halving event, which sends forth the supply shock, which sends off the bull market phase, and that range of human emotions, right? And then you have the Wall Street cheat sheet repeating itself, right? I am a firm believer in that happening. If that does not happen, I put out very clearly over here. Let me just go over to Ian's chart over here to show you, right? If we get to 350 days past, when price made the new all-time high, at that point in time, if price has not played out expectedly, I could very well clearly say, oh, here we go. Let me just quote what I said myself. I would and could not confirm lengthening cycles until approximately 350 days after new all-time highs were made from the previous cycle. That's the way I see the data before me, right? And if that happens at that point in time, I could say, okay, my model is wrong. The 4-year cycle model is no longer playing out. We have to readjust. Anyway, the happy hodler. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop some head snack over here. Now I'm going to play some honeymoon vocals for a second, just so I could take a sip of coffee. And, it's my first stream back, and I got to get back into the flow over here. 50 minutes of going at it. Let me go ahead and play some honeymoon. Let me go ahead and see what's going on, and then we'll continue. was a nice welcomed break, and it really set the tone over here for some few important things to talk about, right? First of all, this mindset over here by Andre is really, really solid, right? He's saying, and he's doing this not emotionally. There are people out there who are emotional. Prices going to 19,000. Prices never go, people in both spectrums to the upside and downside are very emotional, right? And then Andre over here is like, look, I would be surprised if price went to $65,000 without first making a lower low. But I would also be surprised if we saw 19,000. I think what's coming next is 27,000 Bitcoin. We looked at that being a pretty strong level of supply over there earlier. And he says, and then maybe Wyckoff will happen, some accumulation. It's very balanced. You should have your own opinions, but you don't need to be so emotional about them. I think that's what gets in the way of a lot of people's success. Andre, whether I agree with it or not, it's very balanced the way he's looking at it and presenting it. And it's a good model for a lot of people to follow, just in the way he's presenting it, right? And then over here, we have Bill Miracle saying, if you don't think Bitcoin will eventually pass $100,000, why are you in it? And Bill, I'm really glad you brought that up. Only because what I really wanted to share with you earlier this morning was something along the lines of that, but a little different. When I look at my bullish case for Bitcoin, and we talked about, there was a 10x, this particular time last cycle from where we are right now, as price went from $2,000, to roughly 20,000, a little under it, in a little less than 150 days. Is that possible that happens again? Or do we even see a little bit more than that at this cycle has been outperforming the previous cycle in all aspects? Volatility to the upside, to the downside, its consolidation range. It's been an average of the two. Is it possible that we have a 10 to 15x from here? Anything's possible. I don't know what's going to happen. Is it possible that we have diminishing returns and see something like $160,000 to $200,000 Bitcoin? Yep, it's completely possible. Completely possible. We will see. But what's important for me, is my next milestone, and the milestone that I've shared with you all often, is that I believe what the next milestone for Bitcoin is overtaking gold's market cap. That's approximately $500,000 Bitcoin. Do I think that Bitcoin's going to, overtake gold's market cap? Absolutely. Do I think it stops there? Not at all. But I definitely foresee, and I've always said, I believe it'll be next cycle. I've always said, I believe it'll be next cycle that Bitcoin overtakes gold's market cap. Is that a 10x from here? Well, actually it's a lot more than a 10x from here. Bitcoin's trading at $35,000, not $50,000 right now. That's why I was buying the dip over here. My time preference in many ways might be a little bit different than yours, but your time preference might be a lot off. If you're trying to build wealth and you're seeing Bitcoin trading right now at $35,000, why are you not accumulating? You ever see like the Bitcoiners who are like, why are you sitting in a chair? How come that money did not go towards buying Bitcoin? You might think that's a little bit radical. It's not. I remember a year ago having a conversation with family when they just bought this immensely nice bicycle. And I was like in disbelief. And I was like, well, how come you didn't buy Bitcoin? By the way, Bitcoin was trading somewhere around $6,000. How come you didn't buy Bitcoin? Come on, the life is the life. I have to enjoy the life. I have to have these things now so that I can go out and have a good time. Okay, that's your choice. But understand the choice you're making, But by the way, right now, they could have gone out and bought that bicycle, right? And then been sitting on a nice Bitcoin position, right? If you could just get into the habit, whether it's saving an additional $50, $500, or $5,000 a month, and continuing dollar costing into Bitcoin 4 years from now, I guarantee as Bitcoin is overtaking the market cap of gold, which is roughly, a 10, 15x from over here, you're really going to be understanding what's going on, and you're really going to be positioning yourself well. That's all very important. All very important. All right. Is there anything else we wanted to talk about over there? Sleep, fathering? Oh, Stephen, it's a lot of work, and these kids need a lot of love, and that's what it means. And so do all of you, my other family. So do all of you, especially when I see how negative and how toxic it is out there. It's okay to have an opinion. Your opinion doesn't even need to resemble mine whatsoever, right? But you have a lot of people. It's you gotta stay positive out there. That's why I'm so grateful for all of you. And not only do I need to spend this particular time, right, nurturing the other kids, not just Christopher, but the other kids, making sure that my wife is okay during this particular time postpartum, but making sure that each and every one of you, have my fatherly love to help you through this difficult moment, because it's not easy. There's nothing easy about it. And that's why when you do reach whatever goals that you have and you got there, and then people who look around you and they're just like, oh, you just got lucky, it's so easy. You know the truth. It doesn't matter what anyone else says. You know the truth, right? And that's what makes you who you are. Thank you, Heath. Heath is just absolute. So anyway, Heath's game, Heath's skill set continues to improve and improve and improve and improve, and it's a pleasure to watch. It's a pleasure to watch, and it's something that I take pride in. I'm very just listen. I must have an eye for spot and talent. And Heath, thanks for everything, man. I really appreciated it. I wanted Heath to go ahead on Monday to do the live stream for everyone. Listen, everything's well. The baby's healthy. My wife's healthy, but it was not without complications. It wasn't an easy time. And listen, things just don't always go as you planned. So thank you, everyone, for spending this time together. Glad to be back over here. Very important stuff covered. A lot of people get it so wrong, it's ridiculous. I just want to make sure everyone has it correct. So I'm just going to go ahead and summarize this over here, right? Couple of different things and a couple of different strategies. I personally spot Bitcoin and buying the dip, right? 39,000, 33,500, adding positions over here over the past, week or so, 2 weeks, whatever it is, and unexpectedly, that brings my average cost of Bitcoin up slightly. It's still well below $10,000, and I feel good about it. Listen, does that mean that you should buy? Absolutely not. It is not financial advice. I'm just letting you all know what I'm doing. A lot of people focused in over here, perhaps rightfully so, what's going on with this trend line over here. Let me jump down to the 2 hour just to show you, right? Everyone watching what's going on with this trend, rightfully so, you should be, right? It's precision. You want to get the precision right. This trend line by the way, it goes back up to there, is important, right? Because it was resistance here. It was resistance over here, resistance here and here, and now it's breaking. Well, for as far as the technical case for Bitcoin goes, well, that's the first repair, and that's a big deal. But that does not mean that, that like we're good to go from here. I think that if you're stepping in here and you're trading Bitcoin, whether, I think that you should reevaluate. I showed you what this looks like if you come back up to a higher time frame, and I'm focused on the most important trend line over there, where I'm saying to you, I do not have, I lost clarity here, May 14th live stream. Price was above 50,000, and I said to you, I don't know what's going on. I'm getting neutral, and that clarity has not returned. That clarity for trading does not return to me because we're looking at a big deviation. When I say I wanted to talk about this, I'm going to talk about this at all. Anyone who's here in 1 second, when I showed Ian's chart, and you could see the big deviation we're experiencing right now, lining up from previous all-time highs. If we line up from the mid-cycle dip, we don't really have that big of a deviation yet, right? And you can see that price is trading up a little bit higher right now, back within our zone. So there's not much of a deviation right now, lining up from the mid-cycle dip. We've talked about you have to put the work in. why those 35 days coming into that mid-cycle dip are so important and how they continue to line up, right? I've showed you the cycle. Here's the peak, right? The valley, the peak. You could see the symmetry. It makes sense lining them up from the mid-cycle peak. We don't know if that's correct or yet or not. And after this cycle, we'll simply have one more further data point to help us, but we don't know. You know, we're out there and this is brave new coin. We're out there in the brave new world, a new asset class, Bitcoin, the best performing asset ever with the immaculate conception, no pre-mine, right? Could it be done again? No, it cannot ever be done again. I digress. I don't know where I was going with that. But what I am saying to you over here, things are off. And because things have become unclear and I'm waiting for that clarity. I'm waiting for that confirmation, that breakout, that momentum to start trading again. I've moved back over to spot and looking to dollar cost average in. Yes, why people should be focused in on the 2 hour over here, what we looked at over there for that precision. I think it makes much more sense to be focused what's going on the higher time frame. Why this trend line over here and getting above it is way more important, right? Once you get above this trend line, well, then there's a good chance that we come in to test this one next, right? But we still got a lot of we got a lot of work to do. There's overhead resistance. Just today is the first possible sign of a repair taking place. It doesn't mean you got to jump on it. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. People are looking at, the coming death cross, right? First of all, moving averages, by the way, are laggy. I don't use moving averages. And if you're using moving averages, you're much better off using something like a 9 period and a 12 period put together. That's going to be highly accurate. Looking at a 50 and a 200-day moving average, that's some laggy stuff over there. That's not my style, right? It's not my style. Right? Now, if you wanted something like this, by the way, you are much better off going and using the true trend. You are much better off using the true trend, BTC, and trading this like this, right? By the way, remember that March anomaly, right? You would have been out before the anomaly happened on the sidelines, through all that fear and uncertainty on the sidelines. You would have bought back in a little bit higher, exiting at 78. Whatever it is, call it $7,500, entering back in a little bit higher, call it 8,500, and then you would have been holding all the way to over here, exiting at 43,000 on the sidelines for all this nonsense. Will you be entering a little bit higher than 43,000? Most likely, unless we have prolonged downside pressure over here, then you'll be entering lower, but this is much better than following a 50-day and 200-day moving average. Are we going to get across? Are we going to see further? Maybe. I showed you Rect Capital did an amazing thread on Twitter showing what would happen in the past. What the percentage going into what the percentage downside was going into the cross, how price bounces after the cross, and then the further downside pressure. You could look at all that, but pay attention to whether or not the cross is happening after a cycle peak in a bear market, or if that potential cross is coming during the bull market phase. The 2013 mid-cycle right over here, you saw the price was almost coming down over there. Could it even cross? And then, yes, right? Then you're over here. This is 2017. I want to come back to July. This is the mid-cycle shakeout in 2017 over here. So we weren't seeing a cross occur like in that previous cycle, but this cycle was a lot different. This cycle, the volatility was actually a lot more subdued compared to this first cycle, which was a lot more aggressive. This second cycle is actually an average of these two. So anyway, I just wanted to address it since a lot of people are focused in on it. I think the way that we do it is the most accurate. So this is what we're going to focus in on, what we do and how we do it. And I just want to bring your attention to the fact that although on the 2 hour, things are the 2 hour on that, I don't want to say the 2 hour, the 8 hour is the lowest, is the lowest time frame you should be going down to, by the way. And by the way, if you get the breakout, the retest could occur, it could occur tomorrow, the day after, days later. That's all fine and good. I'm showing you the 2 hour to show you the precision. I need to show you the precision that's taking place over here. I'm not trying to get you to follow the 2 hour and start trading on the 2 hour. I think that would be a huge mistake. A huge mistake. All right. Anyway, good session. Thank you for spending the time with me. Thank you. I'm going to do a better job at brushing off all that toxic negativity. You know, I'll try my best, especially if it's within my own home, you know. But, you know, again, we don't have time for that. There's a lot that we have to do. We have to make sure that we stay sharp, make sure that we put the work in, because to conquer the markets, it takes that focus. It takes that dedication. You know, you got to conquer yourself if you want to conquer the markets. You want to conquer yourself if you want to conquer the markets. I'm going to play some Honeymoon over there and say goodbye to you all. Thanks for spending the time. All right. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a beautiful day. And thank you so much for everything. That's right. Well, the only thing that has changed is the bullish case for Bitcoin has got a lot more bullish with El Salvador making Bitcoin legal tender. Absolutely fire. Absolutely fire. You could see much of South America, important people here in Mexico, the third richest man, Salinas, putting those laser eyes onto his profile yesterday. Right? Contrary to the macrobros belief, the laser eyes is not a turnoff. The laser eyes is signal. And right now you see all of South America signaling. And what they're signaling is unity. Unity in Bitcoin, unity in freedom. Right? Everyone, have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for making mine shine. I'll see you all tomorrow.